Deep in the high-altitude crevices of the Balkan Mountains, a biological anomaly exists that has baffled gerontologists and neuroscientists for decades. In the remote, windswept villages of Mount Olympus, shepherds spend 90 years breathing thin air, enduring brutal winters, and living on diets that would give modern nutritionists pause. Yet these individuals often possess a cognitive clarity that rivals those half their age. This is not merely the result of superior genetics or the absence of urban pollution. It is the product of a daily ritual brewed in soot-stained copper pots. They consume a decoction of a plant once used to heal the wounds of ancient warriors. A plant that laboratories are now discovering can physically clear the toxic rust accumulating in the human brain. This same plant acts as a profound biological shield for the human digestive system, physically stimulating the production of the stomach's protective mucosal lining. It is a dual threat of ancestral wisdom, a guardian for the mind and a physical shield for the gut. A medicine that the modern world is only now beginning to comprehend. This is the Greek mountain tea, Ironwort, scientifically known as Sideritis scardica. Welcome to Ancestral Yields. If you would like to reclaim the lost botanical secrets that industrial agriculture and global trade markets have pushed into the shadows, like this video and subscribe. The journey into the roots of human resilience continues now. The story of Sideritis begins with the clash of bronze and iron during the dawn of European civilization. The name itself comes from the Greek word sideros, which means iron. In the ancient world, this was not a casual beverage for leisure. It was the primary field medicine of the Greek phalanx. When soldiers returned from the front lines with deep lacerations, blunt force trauma, and puncture wounds caused by iron spears and arrowheads, Sideritis was the first and most critical line of defense. It was believed the plant possessed a sympathetic property, and the ironwort was required to heal wounds inflicted by iron. Ancient Greeks did not merely drink the infusion. They bathed open wounds in the warm decoction to prevent festering, or the systemic inflammation known today as sepsis. This usage was eventually codified by Dioscorides, the father of pharmacology, in his first-century masterpiece, De Materia Medica. He praised the plant as a specific treatment for respiratory distress and internal inflammation, noting that its power was most potent when harvested from the highest, most sun-drenched peaks. For the shepherds who followed in the footsteps of those ancient soldiers, the tea became a tool of daily survival in a vertical world. Known colloquially as shepherd's tea, it was used to warm the blood and maintain core temperature during the bitter fall and winter months. It functioned as a vital digestive tonic, allowing the shepherds to process diets heavy in fermented sheep's milk, dense cheeses, and animal fats without the burden of chronic indigestion. Sideritis was the crown jewel of the Alpine heights, prized above all other herbs for its versatility and strength. If this plant was so effective, why is it not more popular? It all started with the cold economic logic of the 19th century British Empire. As the East India Company sought to standardize the global tea trade, the market required a crop that was easy to colonize, easy to process, and easy to tax. Camellia sinensis, the source of black and green tea, fit this industrial model perfectly. It could be grown in massive low-altitude plantations across India, Sri Lanka, and China, fermented in bulk by industrial machinery and packed tightly into uniform crates for global shipping. It was a commodity perfectly designed for the machine age. Greek mountain tea, by contrast, resisted every attempt at industrialization. It stubbornly refuses to grow in the humid lowlands where plantations thrive, demanding the thin air, high ultraviolet radiation, and rocky, well-drained limestone slopes of alpine regions above 3,000 feet. because the whole plant must be utilized, including the flower spikes, leaves, and stems. It is bulky, delicate, and difficult to compress into standard crates. It was a shepherd's weed that could not be quantified by a corporate ledger or harvested by a mechanical combine. As the world moved toward the convenience of the tea bag, the labor-intensive harvest of the mountains was abandoned in favor of cheaper, caffeinated alternatives. Today, Sideritis scardica is listed as an endangered species in many parts of its wild range. Decades of unregulated overharvesting, combined with the abandonment of traditional mountain management and the encroachment of industrial logging, have pushed it to the brink. Modernity replaced a perennial medicine that builds the body's reserves with an annual commodity that provides a simple caffeine hit, trading long-term health for short-term stimulation. Recent clinical trials have focused intensely on the plant's neuroprotective capabilities. Research indicates that Sideritis scardica extracts are potent inhibitors of the formation of amyloid beta plaques in the brain. These plaques are the toxic protein clumps that characterize the progression of Alzheimer's disease. In behavioral tests, subjects consuming the extract showed significant improvements in memory, attention, and overall cognitive performance. The plant acts as a selective reuptake inhibitor for neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline. This helps keep these focus chemicals active in the brain for longer periods, providing sustained mental clarity without the crash associated with caffeine. For every 1 ounce, 28-gram portion of the dried herb kept in a pantry, the mineral profile rivals fortified grains. When brewed into a single 6-ounce cup, 177 milliliters, using just 3 grams of the herb. Sideritis provides a concentrated dose of iron and magnesium. In fact, a single cup of this tea delivers more bioavailable iron than a serving of many leafy greens, without the high tannins of black tea that normally block mineral absorption. The true power, however, lies in the polyphenols and flavonoids, specifically p-coumaric acid and ferulic acid. In a standard serving, these compounds are present in concentrations that double those found in culinary herbs like oregano. For those interested in gastroprotection, clinical evaluations show the flavonoids stimulate the gastric mucosa to produce protective mucus. In studies involving ethanol-induced gastric lesions, which are the physical damage alcohol causes to the stomach lining, the active compounds in Sideritis scardica reduced lesion severity by over 50%. It physically shields internal organs from oxidative stress, providing protection that modern detox products cannot match because they lack the synergistic flavonoids developed in high-altitude ultraviolet radiation. Identifying Sideritis scardica requires an understanding of extreme alpine adaptation. The plant is a small perennial shrub covered in a thick, velvety layer of silvery gray wool. This fuzz is actually a dense coating of trichomes, tiny hairs that protect the plant from intense ultraviolet rays and prevent moisture loss in the dry mountain air. It produces striking yellow flower spikes that emerge from green, leaf-like bracts. In the United States, Greek mountain tea can be successfully grown in USDA hardiness zones 7 through 10, thriving in the Mediterranean-like climates of the West Coast, the rocky hills of the Texas Hill Country, or the dry regions of the Southwest. There is one common look-alike that often causes confusion for American gardeners: lamb's ear, also known as Stachys byzantina. While both have fuzzy, silvery leaves, lamb's ear leaves are significantly larger and softer, and it lacks the distinct upright yellow flower spikes of Sideritis. While lamb's ear is edible and has its own uses, it lacks the specific flavonoids required for neuroprotection. Always look for the flowers. Sideritis flowers are small and yellow, tucked into a cone-like spike. Never forage in unknown or urban areas. Roadsides and suburban parks are often heavily treated with glyphosate or other herbicides. Because of the plant's fuzzy texture, these chemicals can accumulate in the leaves and are impossible to wash away entirely. Bringing Greek mountain tea into a home garden starts with sourcing the correct genetics. These seeds are rarely found at big box garden centers, and specialized heirloom outlets like Strictly Medicinal Seeds or Baker Creek heirloom seeds are generally required. If starting from seed, patience is essential, as the plant typically takes 2 full years to reach maturity and to produce its first significant harvest of flower spikes. For those seeking a faster yield, the best method is to purchase established potted plants or clones rather than seeds. Outlets such as Crimson Sage Herb Nursery specialize in shipping live Sideritis plants that can often be harvested within the first growing season. When planting, the most critical factor is ensuring the plant does not have wet feet. Use pots with excellent drainage and a soil mix that is at least 50% grit, perlite, or crushed limestone to mimic its native habitat. It thrives in poor, rocky soil. Over-fertilization results in a lush, green plant that lacks the medicinal potency of its stress-grown, wild-type cousins. To unlock the full spectrum of benefits, a decoction is necessary. 2 or 3 whole spikes, including stem, leaf, and flower, are placed in a pot with approximately 500 milliliters of water. After the mixture reaches a boil, reduce the heat and let it simmer for 5 to 7 minutes. This sustained heat breaks down the tough, fibrous cell walls of the mountain plant, releasing heavy polyphenols and minerals into the brew. The resulting tea is earthy and floral, with distinct hints of citrus and sage. It is traditionally served with a spoonful of raw honey and a squeeze of fresh lemon, which helps increase the bioavailability of its antioxidants. While this tea has been consumed safely for millennia, this information is for educational purposes and is not medical advice. Consult a healthcare professional before adding new herbs to your routine, especially if you are pregnant, nursing, or taking medication for blood pressure, because the tea's mild effects on the vascular system may interact with certain prescriptions. 1 cup or 2 cups a day is generally considered a safe and sustainable tonic for most adults, and it should be enjoyed as part of a balanced diet. The modern world exists in an age of biological rust. Between the oxidative environmental stress of our cities, the cognitive drain of our digital lives, and the chemical toll of modern processed diets, the human body is under constant assault. Greek mountain tea offers a way to fight back with the same ironclad resilience that protected the ancient phalanx and the Olympian shepherds. It is a perennial dividend, requiring only a rocky patch of dirt and a few minutes of your time. Planting Sideritis is an act of preservation for a species the global market tried to erase through neglect. It is a choice to feed the soil and the soul with a plant that refuses to be industrialized or simplified. Instead of reaching for jittery commercial stimulants that deplete your internal reserves, reach for the tea that builds you from the inside out. Reach for the iron. To reclaim health and heritage, 1 plant at a time, give this video a like and subscribe to Ancestral Yields. See you in the garden.